Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I am so glad we're going to talk about this topic today because it affects most of us. Most of us. I wonder if it affects people in Florida. I'm going to ask her. I'm going to find out. I know it affects us in the New York area. It'll be 4 degrees tonight. And we're talking about winter blues when we have those seasonal changes and it just kind of brings you down. How do you come back up again? She is somebody that helps many of us heal from different modalities, has so much insight from nutrition to energy healing to hypnotherapy. My QuantumHeal is her website, and she is Dr. Cecilia Cervantes, and she's back with us. Cecilia, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing great. We had a terrible storm this week in Texas, but I've bounced back already.
Yeah, I have friends. Actually, I have a friend in Florida, grew up with him. I mentioned Florida a second ago, and he actually deals with the seasonal thing, the winter blues. Just even though it's it's sunny and warm and 75, but I guess maybe it's the angle of the sun. I'm not really sure.
It's time of year we have less light, so we're getting less sunlight, and probably the vitamin D levels in your system are going down. One thing affects another. It's all connected.
It's funny you should said the light thing because I have another friend that has a light. I guess it's a UV light that he turns on. Is that one way to get around that feeling of not feeling positive when there's less light or less UV?
Yeah, there's this thing called light therapy that can be used. They use it in the very northern climes like Iceland and such. It's been proven to work and help people.
So let's go back to what really causes what we call winter blues. We have less sunlight, it's colder, less things going on. You're not outside as much. What's actually going on in the brain?
Well, as a result of all that, we spoke about the vitamin D levels being lower. It can affect your other chemicals in your brain, such as serotonin, and for some people, even melatonin might be too high, and because of their genetics or what have you, just the way they're made. And melatonin's supposed to kind of calm you down and get you ready for sleep. But if you're like that during the day, you're kind of blah, you know?
Interesting. Let's center on that because I always thought the melatonin was such a great thing, but you're saying if you have too much, it's a bad thing. However, how would you have too much? Why would your body produce more in the winter?
It's not everyone that has this, but certain people they've found have a little higher melatonin levels during the daytime. That's when you want the serotonin levels to be higher. When you're awake and alert and needing to do things, it's kind of the happy hormone, serotonin, or the happy chemical. And that's why people get placed on SSRIs, which are serotonin reuptake inhibitor type medications to kind of reverse that. So you have more serotonin in your system during the day. At night, you take the melatonin to help you to get to sleep, just to kind of slow down and get ready for bed. So it's that circadian rhythm that can be off for a variety of reasons. And you also want to help yourself with that by having a good diet, not putting too much of that refined sugar in your diet. And when it's time for bed, get ready for bed, slow things down, get off the screens. There's so many things that can disrupt us and that do disrupt us. We're on the screens all day and sometimes at night, and that blue light bothers you. It reduces the melatonin in your system at night. So there's a balance that's required.
It's so true that when you're kind of blah and kind of tired, just like, ugh, what do? You eat. It releases that chemical in your brain. I'm not sure which one it is. And then you just feel like, yeah, let's just eat some more. And all that is just another, like a weight around your neck that pulls you down into more depression, I guess, because now look at yourself like, starting to gain weight. I'm eating garbage. You feel horrible because you're eating. And it's almost like a vicious winter cycle.
Exactly. And when you're eating, you tend to eat more carbs, which aren't going to help you. It's not going to keep a steady blood sugar level. So you'll have those ups and downs, and those downs are, can really get you down. So you want to eat a good diet. You want to get eat some fish during the winter. That's a good time to eat that fish. It's anytime's a good time for that, but the fish oil is good for you. It keeps the inflammation down in the body. Getting some vitamin D in your system if you need to supplement. You can have vitamin D levels tested through the lab, through your doctor's office to see if they're low. If they're low, then go ahead and ask your doctor about supplementing. In the morning, what you want to do, what is a good idea to do to help your circadian rhythm, is to go out in that morning light, that early morning light, and look at the light. That helps to set that clock for you.
Hmm.
And then maybe at night, at twilight, go out again and watch that twilight light start to reduce. It'll help the rhythm. We aren't helped by the fact that they change our clocks, in the fall and in the spring, fall back, spring forward. That kind of screws up our clock.
I always wondered what, and there was legislation to, and I forget where it left. Was it the Senate this past year where they were just going to leave it be and stop with the changes? And there was a lot of people, lawmakers on board for that. So I don't know where we left off with that. But yeah, that kind of screws you up. It
It,
definitely
it
does.
messes you up. They don't do it in Arizona, and they're happy about it.
Hmm. Yeah, something to be said there. And I think other countries as well, they don't do it.
Yeah, it's
So,
just, yeah.
in terms of diet, just going to pivot for a moment here. And we've talked about inflammation before and eating foods that are not good for you or don't agree with you causes what's caused inflammation. Um, might not be exactly what you're thinking in terms of like I'm bloated, inflammation. Um, there's all different forms of it in your body. How can you detect that you have that inflammation? Is it a blood test? Can it be found? Where I'm going here is how do you know what you're eating is not the right thing for you?
Well, it's sometimes it can be difficult to detect. We do some certain levels in the blood, and it may or may not be that high, depending on how bad your inflammation is. The thing is that what you should eat and you shouldn't eat. You know what's good and what's not. Reduce the carbs. Keep it simple. Reduce those carbs that don't give you any nutrition. Increase your fruits, your veggies, your whole foods. Get good protein in your body. Avoid fried things and other things that you know are bad for you. You're going to feel it in your body because you may have those aches and pains. That's inflammation.
Hmm. Uh, outside of those things that we know are bad for us, the fried foods and massive carbs and everything, it would be the things that don't agree with us personally. Let's say, uh, let's say you love fruit. Let's say it's apples, whatever it might be. Maybe apples don't work with your body chemistry, and there's an issue. Again, I picked any fruit, so it would be a blood test that could possibly identify that you're having some inflammation issues based on what you're eating.
You can have a food allergy test done.
Okay.
You can check that. You can check IgA level of food allergy tests. There are different ways to do it. And if those foods don't work well with you, you can have some symptoms as a result of that. It could be the gluten also. If you're getting
Mm.
too much gluten, or if you have some gluten sensitivity. There's so many things to think about.
We often forget about gluten, but I heard recently that 99% of the population has some issue with gluten. Something.
Well, gluten has been the gluten in wheat and such has been altered. That's the genetically modified foods, that it's genetic modification, so that they put higher gluten in wheat and things like that, so that it does affect us. So the grains that have wheat or have gluten are barley, rye, and wheat. And if they're genetically modified, they have higher levels of gluten.
What? Okay, so it's the when they're genetically modified, that's what ups the gluten level.
That's what's up the gluten level.
Okay,
We've seen a rise in that gluten sensitivity since the GMOs, the addition of more gluten, the modification of our crops.
gotcha. Okay, yeah, I've always wondered how that happens, but it's the modification of our food. That's let's say there wasn't any processing, none. Perfect world. You're going to have wheat. Gluten's going to be in it. Would there be a lot less gluten sensitivity in our world?
Yes. And I've spoken with people who've traveled to Europe, and they've eaten wheat products there, and they don't get the same reaction because they don't have that in their foods there
Hmm.
in France and such. So
Sure.
they could see a difference in how they react to foods
Well,
where there's not that GMO.
I'm going to take one for the team here, and I'm going to go to Italy, and I'm going to try all the pasta there. Just I want to
Yes.
see what the gluten level is. I'll get back to you guys on that. Um, would you guys pay for that? No. Let's go back to winter blues. What are some of the other things that you would suggest that we do to help us, feel better in the winter?
Well, getting out in the sun, that's a very good one. Exercise, we tend to kind of lay back and I don't want to do anything. Get a little exercise, move, get out there.
Hmm.
Meditation. This is a great time to meditate. That main meditation and mindfulness, go inside and start to just relax and slow things down. You can start planning. What are you going to do in the spring? This is a great time to plan out things. So do some journaling. In the very coldest areas, Iceland and such, they get cozy and they slow down during the winter time and they attempt to enjoy this time, enjoy their home, enjoy the rest, the quiet, become like a bear, hibernate a little.
Yeah. I just before you even said that, Cecilia, I had a visual of a simpler time where it wasn't so crazy. And that's what people did. They planned for the spring. Let's say, there was a lot of farming. So they would start planning, all right, well, we're going to plant on this date, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But all that would be done during the winter. So yeah, to your point, and something else you said before, in my mind, it comes under the category of you don't know until you know. But I've walked outside early just to take my dog out where it's just barely sunrise and yeah, it can be cold. Many times I'm still half asleep, so the cold doesn't really register in me yet, which is a bonus. But what a peaceful time. Just looking around. It's like, wow, okay, that's good. Winter's not that bad. And the same thing late afternoon, early evening, if you go out, just to just to be in nature. But that's one thing we've said before, to be grounded, to get back to nature. There's a reason people say back to nature. I'm going out into the woods because it makes you psychologically feel better.
Right. And get comfortable with the seasonal cycles. There's a cycle for everything. For every time there is a season, right? For everything that we do, we just become a little more seasonal. Become in tune with the world and the seasons, the day and the night. That's the rhythms that we run by.
To get back to our rhythms, the circadian rhythm, you made some suggestions. What about taking a nap during the day? If you're able to do that, is that a good idea?
It's fine if you need that nap, go ahead and take it, but don't make it more than 90 minutes, an hour maybe, or 20, or, don't make it more. I would say less than an hour is probably ideal.
Okay.
You shouldn't need more than that. If you start taking a longer nap, that's going to affect your nighttime sleep.
I used to take them when I was on a different schedule, and it was very beneficial. It was almost essential, needed to do it. And I ran into somebody recently, and he said, I take a nap every afternoon. And this is a guy who's not even 40 yet. Not like he's, retired. And he's like, that is, I love my power naps. 20 minutes, bam, I'm back up and I'm ready to roll again. What about supplements? Is there things that we could or should be taking to feel better in the winter?
Well, like I said, the vitamin D is
Okay.
something that you could take. That can certainly help you. Fish oil,
Hmm.
good for you, reduce that inflammation. Um, Eating a whole food diet is important. This is a good time to make things such as stews and, nice warming foods that nourish you. Using those root vegetables, it's very seasonal, staying within the seasons.
That's a really good point because the other day my daughter said to me, "Can you get peaches? I don't know if they're in season. Can you get them?" And up here where we are, couldn't find them. Looked, didn't go crazy looking, but then it also concerns me if it's not in season, what the heck are they doing to them?
That's right. That's right. You're better off getting frozen, you know, than the stuff that sort of shows up. It's like, well, where was that irradiated?
Hmm. I recently heard that. Maybe it was you that said it, that
That was
frozen.
me.
Yeah. And I did. I went and I wanted raspberries, and they didn't have organic raspberries. So I found them frozen, cheaper, and you don't have to worry about them going bad, and nutritionally just as good. And by the
Just
way,
as,
if you want to make a smoothie, they're already frozen, so you're on a head start there in terms if you want to, a cold smoothie.
yeah, we want to have those veggies or the fruits that are off season, get them frozen. I think you're better off doing that. It's going to be cheaper and they have the same nutritional value.
See, I never knew that. I always thought that some of the nutrition was missing from frozen produce. Uh, just perception, I guess. But wow, it's fantastic. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Why wouldn't you at this point? Because then you don't have to worry about stuff going bad. Drives me crazy when I buy stuff and then I forget that it's in the refrigerator and it's like, oh, there's mold on it, or sitting on the counter. Um, winter blues, other things that we should do, other thoughts. What can you tell
It's
us?
a good time to sort of look back and do some gratitude work perhaps and get with your people, with your community. Call people. How are you doing? How are you holding up in the winter? Do some connecting. We need connection. We're human beings. We're social creatures. So it's a good time to connect. We've gotten a lot away from that quite a bit because we have those phones, and we're always on the screens, and um, we've sort of forgotten how to connect directly with people. Call them on the phone or go and see them.
There was something I heard recently, and it was a study out of Harvard. And essentially, I paraphrase this, but it was that you should be connecting those with those who you're very close to, people you love, 7 hours a day, 7 hours a day for the most benefit in terms of feeling better, feeling connected, all of that. 7 hours is a lot when you think about it with our crazy busy lives right now.
Yes, things have changed so much in society. It's hard to have that close connection. Way back when, when you had families that lived together, um, it was easier. You would eat meals together, all those things. It's
Yeah.
important because you feel the support, and we're
Yeah.
social beings. We need to feel that support. Otherwise, we start to feel isolated. The last few years have been very difficult for people because of that sense of isolation and feeling alone and what happens if something happens to me? Who do I have to help me? We've got to make those connections.
Yeah. And there was something else that was very powerful. If that you take one person who is 40 and they spend just 1 hour a day in being connected to somebody, when they're 80 years old, think about how much time they've spent. It's so minimal. I forget the number quite honestly. But in terms of hours, I think it was maybe like 100 something hours. That's it between age 40 and age 80. If you spend that time with somebody, it's just it's crazy. And you think about what life was like You're right, Cecilia. People just sat around and just talked. They actually did that. You imagine that? They
Yeah,
got
they ate together. They weren't watching television and
right.
eating, or ignoring each other, because they were in trance. They actually spoke to each other, connected. There was more of an intimacy in relationships back
Hmm.
then.
How do you determine when it's time to take some type of medication? You're just feeling blah, winter or not, but a lot of times, based on my research, more people gravitate toward a medication to feel better around this time. How do you make that determination individually that it's time to do it?
Well, some people actually suffer from seasonal affective disorder, which it's a little more intense. They can't get out of that rhythm. They feel sad, it affects their sleep, it affects their mood, and they're just kind of funky all the time, and they just can't get out of it. That's time to seek professional help.
Okay.
And that might look like doing some cognitive behavioral therapy, or it might actually require that you be on a medication for a short period of time to just kind of get yourself out of it. There are some herbs that also help, but I
Hmm.
would also seek professional help on that. Some people take St. John's worts, but St. John's worts has a lot of cross reactivity with medications and things. So you don't want to just take something on your own. You need professional or an expert to help you with that.
It's so true how things can interact. Like I've learned more and more about grapefruit. Grapefruit, I love grapefruits. Reminds me of being on vacation. That's usually when I have them because I have the time to have them. But that is one of the major, if one of the top fruits that interact with medications, right?
Yeah, especially heart medications. You have to be very careful with certain things. Yes. So always ask the professional,
Sure.
the actual professional, not the internet quote unquote professional.
Yeah, that's a bad thing sometimes, especially when you Google your symptoms and all it does is lead to anxiety most of the time as you're trying to trickle through as to what things are. I will say this though, drug interactions, from what I've heard, it's actually pretty good in terms of a baseline for figuring out if you're taking this or you're thinking of taking that together and you don't want to have some kind of interaction. Again, we're not doctors. Well, you are. But disclaimer, consult your doctor. Is it okay for, to check the internet on interactions?
Well, if you go to a professional site like drugs.com,
Okay.
go to a professional site, not to some little article or what have you.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I use that to look things up, and that's a professional, pharmaceutical site. So that's what you want to do.
Okay.
But of
Yeah.
course, go to the professional first if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tried a new primary care provider a few years ago, and they literally went on the internet just to double check the interaction between the drugs. So yeah, all right. So and drugs.com, I didn't know that that was a legit site. One would think maybe it's for sales or whatever. Um, Closing thoughts here in terms of feeling better with those winter blues. Any other thoughts you have?
Well, take the action that we spoke about. Don't just, don't get worse and worse and not do anything about it. Look and evaluate, what can I do to help myself get out of this? Because it's not a good place to be. Doesn't feel good. There are things you can do and take action to do those things. Look at your diet, look at your activity, look at your mindset. Do some meditation, go within or call some friends and talk to someone. Connect. And if you need to, talk to a professional, make an appointment.
Sure. It's so easy to go down the rabbit hole where, everything's a habit. We're all programmed to do the same thing all the time. So if you get in that mindset of like, oh, blah, hold out, first of all, that's the worst thing you can do is complain because you're just setting yourself up for more negativity. And are you really going to feel better? No, definitely not.
No.
I know that you're available, myquantumheal.com. You do such great work. I've worked with you. I tell everybody about as a matter of fact, I told somebody this morning about the timeline therapy that we did a couple of weeks ago. literally somebody in my building right here, because he was talking about meditation, and he told me that he found TM like decades ago, and it was a game changer for him. And then that led into, oh, have you tried this? Have you tried this? And yeah, so many different modalities to help you feel better. And maybe there's something else going on. You got winter blues. Maybe it's not just the winter. Maybe there's something else there that you need to look at. And that's your job to figure that out at myquantumheal.com. Cecilia, always great talking with you. And I got to go because I got to turn up the heat.
Turn up the heat. Don't forget to look at the sun going down tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not kidding. It's actually cold in here. It's a cold snap coming through, but yeah. Be positive. Really, that's what it comes down to. Yeah. Look forward next time we get a chance to talk.
Okay. Have a great week, Steve.
You too. myquantumheal.com, and we're coming right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.